What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Okay, so I got a weird piece of news for you that just came out today that I don't know what to think of it. So I want to share it with you guys and let's just brainstorm on it because you guys know that AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, under Dr. Jon Kirkpatrick, was not transparent on what they were investigating. And just like last week, I saw them delivering a report debunking another video. I think it was the Aguadilla UFO. So one would think that they're still doing that, debunking, and that they're not honest and they're not fully transparent with the people. But a new article just came out where there are some statements from Jon Kosloski, who's the new director, and it came out on the Scientific American, and I thought it was worth the read. So I'm gonna read it to you guys, so you guys can let me know what you think because it's interesting. And we did find some statements from Kozlowski that I honestly wasn't expecting. So, and I'm gonna read it all for you guys, so you guys can check it out. You ready? The US government's top UFO scientist has an open mind about alien visitation. That's the title. From the Scientific American, nonetheless. Have you seen something inexplicable in the sky? Jon Kosloski, director of the US Department of Defense's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, wants to hear from you. Whether captured in declassified military footage or in smartphone videos uploaded to social media, UFOs are swarming Earth's skies and demonstrating capabilities so astonishing that they must represent technologies that are advanced beyond any available on Earth. Clearly, these sightings point to the involvement of space aliens, or perhaps just a global cabal of nefarious humans with ultra spiffy, above top secret flying machines that routinely break the known laws of physics. At least, that's what modern day folklore would have you believe, no matter how many times skeptics convincingly debunk sensational UFO sightings as mere misidentifications of conventional aircraft, sensor artifacts, or natural phenomena. Regardless of what one personally believes about all of this, what's certain is that claims of mysterious trespassers in American airspace are taken very seriously by US government for reasons of national security. That's why, at Congress's behest, the US Department of Defense established its All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, in July 2022. This office investigates reports of UFOs under the more generic rebranding of unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs. AARO's work, however, isn't really about chasing down extraterrestrial invaders so much as it involves standardizing reporting methods, curating and analyzing datasets, and assessing possible threats posed by UAPs. Think less Men in Black and more Pentagon desk jockeys with advanced degrees and highly classified resumes. The office's current director, Jon Kosloski, who took over in August 2024 after the departure of his predecessor, Jon Kirkpatrick, in December 2023, is a good example of the archetype. His professional past is punctuated by National Security Agency, research in networking and computing, optical light communications and cryptography, as well as his invention of an advanced language agnostic search engine for the DoD. Kozlowski spoke with Scientific American about his vision and agenda for AARO, and of course, his thoughts on the extraterrestrial hypothesis for unexplained UAPs. Question one: what milestones and directions do you and AARO foresee as you assess the UAP situation? We have quite a lot going on in the office. We're working diligently to make our AARO website available to the public so they can report an incident. We want to have a semi automated processing chain to quickly bring those cases in and then look for correlations with other cases from government sources. We're also working on machine learning and artificial intelligence tools so that we can look for correlations at a larger scale. AARO is also looking for better utilization of the whole fabric of US government sensors that are available that will help our case resolutions, but it also poses the potential challenge of looking at an awful lot of data. A last big push for increased transparency to find more efficient ways to share information with the public and the scientific community to help us in some of our investigations. Standardizing the UAP data is an initiative to make it better suited for data science. As we do that, we'd like having both the raw data as well as the post processing data available to as wide of an audience as possible. But we need to respect the sensitivities of the sources and methods used to gather those data. Next question. Last November, you testified before the Senate Committee on Armed Services Subcommittee on Emerging Threats and Capabilities. One point you raised was the importance of removing the stigma of reporting a UAP event. How much of a problem is that? It seems to have diminished quite a bit, thankfully, through a variety of public endeavors. I think it does persist, for example, with local law enforcement and some military members. However, they have experienced some pushback themselves for discussing events that they've been part of, but have come forward and shared that information with Arrow. So maybe the stigma is reduced, but not completely gone. Good progress is being made, but probably there is a little ways to go. Next question. Arrow has reportedly deployed the Gremlin system, a multi sensor network system for detecting, tracking, and characterizing UAPs in an undisclosed location. What is the status of this project? Gremlin is envisioned to be a test bed for sensor evaluations and sensor fusion. We expect to be a living system, always evolving. We will be swapping in and out of new sensors and algorithms for various approaches. We want to document what we learn and share that with the public and other organizations inside the government. The hope is they can take what we have learned and replicate that. Gremlin itself is going quite well and is very robust. It has been running out of the wild for several months now, gathering data using radar, electro optical, and infrared cameras, and some electromagnetic sensors. Gremlin is pulling all that in and detecting events in real time. We haven't found anything particularly interesting yet, but there are a few interesting sightings that are worth investigating. Next question. What does a few interesting sightings mean exactly? Interesting from our perspective, it is not obvious what the object is. It is unidentified. This is important, guys. It has some anomalous characteristics, and in these cases, the objects appears to be moving rather quickly, but it doesn't appear to be using standard aircraft beacons. There could be multiple explanations for that, so we're not jumping to any conclusions, but they are worthy of further investigations. Next question. UFO groups continually demand full disclosure, by which they mean more than transparent data sharing, namely the full disclosure of putative secret evidence that Earth has been visited by some form of alien intelligence. For Arrow, if you come up with a head scratcher of an unknown phenomenon, how would you disclose that fact? There are two things we have to consider. One is the owner of the data. We would need to work with the data owner to make sure that we are not revealing sensitive information about sources and methods. But putting that aside, there is nothing inherently classified about an anomalous event or phenomenon. So we would work with our leadership to document that well, study it, and then produce a product that can be shared widely with the community. There is no inherent reason why we should sit on these anomalies if we did come across something truly perplexing. Next question. Given that many full disclosure advocates would insist that the absence of evidence of alien visitation just further confirmed a government cover up, it seems likely any push you could make for transparency as leader of Arrow would, in some respects, be doomed to failure. So, why take the assignment in the first place? I love difficult scientific challenges. In general, I enjoy the chase of trying to understand the mystery and solving puzzles. UAPs, by their very nature, are rare events. That means data acquisition is difficult, and there is a sensor design challenge. I think getting the data we need has been somewhat neglected. There are groups such as Abilov's Galileo project that are working on better data acquisition, which is fantastic. But we in the US government could do better. As a mathematician and data scientist, I enjoy pouring through the data, looking at subtle correlations and teasing out the threads to identify hypotheses and get the scientific method started. Doing that will with a well-qualified group with experts from inside AARO as well as from across the US government and hopefully partnering with academia too was just too good of an opportunity to pass up. Next question. How does AARO engage academia? Right now, we are primarily focused on a few key partnerships with university affiliated research centers. For example, AARO worked with the Georgia Tech Research Institute, a nonprofit applied research organization at the Georgia Institute of Technology, to develop the Gremlin system. As a UARC in the Georgia Tech Research Institute partnered with AARO. Because of the nature of the contractual relationships, we can share the data that we have. In broader engagements with academia, there is the key step of downgrading classification to ensure we can release the information. We are working on that. Also, an important partnership is with the national laboratories, or Oak Ridge National Laboratory, for instance, has assisted AARO with some of its material analysis. But right now, the focus has been on those few key UARCs. Next question. Is it really accurate that you're being transparent while also dealing with sensitive classified data? It's a challenge. AARO should be as transparent as possible, and we are working in that direction. At the same time, we need to respect the sensitivities of the sources and methods used to gather the information that is relevant to UAPs. Ultimately, we're also working with our partners to release as much information as possible about the full context in which that data has was gathered. It is time-consuming process, but there are reasons why the US government needs to protect those sources and methods so we don't put them at risk. Next question. Recent reports of mysterious drones over New Jersey and elsewhere sparked a lot of public interest and discussion, and I'm sure you and your AARO colleagues were paying close attention too. What's your take on the situation? Misidentification does count for a number of UAP sightings. AARO has been working on educational materials about common misunderstandings such as starling flaring, as we call it, or confusing visual phenomena such as parallax. We're sharing that with the public so that they can understand what they're looking at. Specifically, with the Jersey incidents, none of those were reported to AARO as being anomalous. Certainly, many of them were unidentified, whether they were drones or airplanes or other objects, but they weren't behaving in a way that was identified by the people at the time as being anomalous. So we didn't take the lead on any of those investigations, but we were in contact with a number of federal organizations offering our support. Next question. Do you have any advice for true believers who are convinced that aliens are visiting Earth's skies? I don't have advice per se. I don't want to be the thought police. I think everyone's welcome to approach this topic however they like. As I came into the subject, however, I try to approach it without bias in either direction. I'm open to any possibility. Sometimes an unusual event is just a sensor artifact, sometimes just a balloon. We do have some events in our holdings that are really peculiar, and I don't know yet what's behind those. But because we don't know what's behind them, we also can't attribute them to anything particular, and that includes extraterrestrial sources. Last question. Any closing thoughts on your primary objectives for AARO? And how do you feel about the big, daunting question, are we alone? I'm impatient, and being a data scientist, I'm also a data hog. I want more data, and I want it quicker so we can get to the heart of these problems. It boils down to asking ourselves, what type of data is it going to take to prove to the scientific community beyond a shadow of a doubt that this anomalous phenomenon is not a sensor artifact and it is indeed something truly peculiar? And I feel that's going to require multiple sensors gathering the same event from different perspectives at the same time. My goal is for AARO to be able to enhance our national security by increasing domain awareness, ensuring that we understand everything that is operating in space, in the air, and maritime environments, as well as those transmedium objects, UAPs that seemingly slip between, say, the sky and the sea. I think it's plausible that there is life out there. I haven't yet seen the substantial evidence. I need to convince me that extraterrestrial life has found its way to Earth as yet, but I am open to anything. So this is really interesting for a couple of things that I need to address. First of all, Scientific American, at the very start, the very few first paragraphs, they were very clear that they're biased and they want to debunk stuff. So it doesn't give me a lot of trust in what they write often. But to their credit, though, I do see that this article was more objective and more balanced, and the responses from Kosloski were balanced as well. I know that we've seen people like Ross Coulthart giving Kozlowski the okay, meaning that the dude really is trying to find the truth. And when we saw him at the Armed Services Committee hearing, I did notice that you guys saw Susan Goff right behind him. And it did seem like she was controlling what he was saying, or at least paying close attention to it. And it does seem like his hands are a little tied. So he can't really flat out say that he believes something or he doesn't because of Susan Goff. And just know, whenever they were asking these questions, they kept referring to NHI as aliens from another planet or extraterrestrials. And if we go through the literature, we know that they may not be extraterrestrials, they may be something else. So why would they keep using these talking points that we know may not be true? It may be something else. That's the problem I have with Arrow. But the fact that they're like now acknowledging, Kozlowski right now acknowledging that a small portion of these cases are do seem truly anomalous, I think that is a step forward in the right direction, because this is quite contrary to what Kirkpatrick was doing when he was in. So that's why I wanted to share this article with you guys. I want to let you know before I continue that if you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to please hit the like and subscribe buttons. It really helps the channel keep growing. You can also comment and share on any platform. YouTube loves that. You can also consider becoming a member, maybe. And we are on every feed on the KGRA website and all of the other platforms on KGRA. I'm going to leave links in the description. I'm also going to leave links just in case you want to support the channel in any other way. Thank you for your support, as always. But yeah, let me know what you think about this article and these statements from Jon Kosloski, because I think it was interesting. And you guys know me, I'm more optimistic than not. And if you guys think that I'm naive because of that, I don't really care. I prefer thinking that people are, for the most part, well intentioned. And so far, I haven't seen Jon Kosloski being ill intentioned, unlike Kirkpatrick, who was caught lying flat out. So I think this is good. Even if you don't trust the government or anything, I do think that some kind of public and official acknowledgement from the government is necessary so we can get more people on board with this. So this is a step in the right direction. And I want to thank Director Kosloski for being more open. And even Scientific American, who's like are famous for being very, very highly skeptical. They were open with their line of questioning. Just try not to use adjectives like true believers or ETs or stuff like that. If you have really been following the topic for years, you know by now that using these terms is sending out the wrong message because the literature speaks otherwise. That's it for me today on this video, but I will see you guys in the next one. And remember, stay curious, stay inquisitive. Bye.